And from Qatar, we're honored to host the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defense Affairs, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Energy and Industry, the Minister of Economy and Commerce, the CEO of the Qatar Investment Authority, and the Qatar Ambassador to the United States. What a team. All of us are here this evening because we care deeply about strengthening the economic and trade relationship between our two countries. The foundation of that partnership is a robust commercial engagement and investment, and this important strategic dialogue helps fortify it. The U.S. Chamber has worked closely with our counterparts in Qatar and the government of both nations to expand and diversify this relationship. We're also fortunate to have a strong and dynamic AmCham partner in Qatar. We appreciate their leadership, collaboration, and support. By working together towards common goals, our nations can grow our economies, create jobs, and place new opportunities within the reach of all of our citizens. We already maintain a vigorous partnership. The U.S. is Qatar's largest foreign investor and its largest source of foreign imports. And Qatar has made significant investments here, too. In 2015, the Qatar Investment Authority announced right here in this room on this stage that they will invest over $35 billion in the United States. And that number has since grown to $45 billion. We welcome these investments, which will benefit Qatar while strengthening U.S. infrastructure and creating American jobs. In the United States, this is what we call a win-win situation. To help move our mutually beneficial partnership forward, the Chamber was proud to be a driving force behind the launch of the U.S.-Qatar Economic and Investment Dialogue in 2015. The second meeting of the dialogue was held in Doha last year with
Secretary Tillerson with us tonight. The U.S.-Qatar Business Council is proud to co-host this event and to see all of you here. For the next couple of days, you will be hearing a lot about America's extensive commercial interests with Qatar, about the opportunities for more U.S. exports in sectors like food and bulk storage, about the jaw-dropping 244% increase in official military sales in just 1 year, and about the money the Qatari government has already invested in the U.S. and its plans to invest a lot more. You will hear about Qatar, and Qatar's investments in the U.S. support almost 1 million U.S. jobs. You will hear about how Qatar turned regional diversity into an opportunity for exporters and investors by dramatically opening up its market so that businessmen and women can come in without visas, own 100% of an enterprise, apply for permanent residency, and employ Al Jazeera's coverage. These issues affect the business climate, so no one in this audience should hesitate to raise these topics with the ministers from Qatar and get the straight story. The fact is now, with competition from China, a resurgent Russia, it depends on the mutually profitable web of investments, energy supplies, and defense relationships that our allies provide. At a time when many of America's allies are spending less than 2% of their GDP on defense, Qatar wants to expand Al-Udeid and increase its purchases from the U.S.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kush Choksi. I work for Tom Donohue as Senior Vice President for the Middle East and Turkey at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Wayne Warwick, ExxonMobil's Vice President for Middle East and Russia, who in turn will say a few words and introduce Qatar's Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, and distinguished guests. On behalf of ExxonMobil, I'm extremely pleased to welcome you all here tonight to this reception in honour of our distinguished delegates from the state of Qatar. I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Embassy of Qatar, the US Chamber of Commerce, and the US Qatar Business Council for providing us with this opportunity to help make this event such a success. The State of Qatar is a strategic partner of the United States, and the US business community is proud to be a key component of that special relationship. We applaud the commitment of His Highness, the Emir, to resolve the current diplomatic crisis through constructive dialogue while ensuring minimal impact on the general public and business activities. We continue to hope for a rapid resolution of this situation and return the regional stability that can benefit all the people from the Gulf. ExxonMobil shares a long and successful history with the State of Qatar, spanning more than 2 decades. The partnership is one of ExxonMobil's strongest and is very strategic for both parties. We're particularly proud of the long-standing partnership with Qatar Petroleum and our joint efforts to develop the gas business in Qatar. We're working to expand this relationship with Qatar Petroleum on projects within Qatar and internationally. As a tangible example of this international expansion, in April last year, ExxonMobil and Qatar Petroleum signed a production sharing contract in Cyprus. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I wish the Qatari delegation a fruit to introduce His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs for the State of Qatar. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Qatar U.S. Business Council for hosting this important event, and I would like to also thank my dear friend and colleague, the Secretary of State, Secretary Tillerson, for making the time and joining us in this event. This year, actually, we are celebrating the 45th anniversary of this partnership we created between Qatar and the United States of America. And tomorrow we are having a big day which will be hosted at the State Department for both countries that will host the Qatar and US strategic dialogue. This strategic dialogue will take place for the first time, and it's the first round, and we are looking forward for the talks we are going to have with our counterparts, the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense and the rest of the cabinet members who are going to attend. We are coming from Qatar with the desire to develop and the determination to develop this partnership further. It's not only, we are not talking only about security and defense and those hard stuff. The business element of this relationship is critical. We have a well-established business relationship between our both nations. There are hundreds of American companies who are investing in Qatar, and I'm sure some of them among us today and the others are looking for opportunities there, which we are welcoming. The Qatari investments in the US economy is not only Qatar Investment Authority investments, which is a $45 billion, but there are a lot of Qatari entities which are investing in the US economy, which is exceeding $100 billion, thanks to the mutual trust we have built throughout the years of this partnership. And we are looking forward to see this partnership growing, and the next dialogue we will have together between Qatar and the United States, we want to celebrate the progress we achieved in this year. And thank you. I would like to thank everybody for attending this event, and I would like to thank you, Mr. Tom, for hosting this, and Ambassador Ann for having these kind words. Thank you very much.
At tomorrow's dialogue, we encourage you all to find a common ground and new opportunities to strengthen this important relationship. And once again, to thank you for your leadership and for sharing some of your time with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Secretary of State Rex Tillerson.
Well, thank you, Tom. Tom's been a long time friend of mine, great supporter of American business throughout the world, and always the first to put his hand up to bring U.S. business leaders in contact with government officials and also foreign business leaders as well. So Tom, thank you for all of your many years of service to the U.S. business community here at the Chamber. And again, thank you for hosting this event tonight as well. I do want to express my appreciation to His Excellency Foreign Minister Al-Thani, who's become a very close and dear partner of mine as we deal with a number of issues regionally of mutual interest, whether they be security issues, but also economic issues, and certainly among our most important is our counterterrorism efforts to defeat ISIS, Daesh in the region, but also to defeat more broadly terrorism in the region and around the world. Also want to welcome his delegation. We'll have a full day tomorrow. I promise you everybody's going to be very busy, and I look forward to kicking the session off in the morning in a joint session that Secretary Mattis, Secretary of Defense, and myself will be co-hosting, but there will be a number of important engagements tomorrow throughout the day that will really broaden this strategic relationship. This is the inaugural U.S.-Qatar strategic dialogue. It's something that we will now put in place, an annual process where we'll be home and home, as they say. We'll host it this year, and the next year that will be carried out in Doha. It's also a great opportunity to highlight the important business opportunities on tap and available in Qatar. Having spent many years as a business person in Qatar, it's been very gratifying to watch the business climate in Qatar grow and continue to improve, from a strong rule of law, respect for contract sanctity, things that are important to every business investor, but also watching Qatar continue to grow and reform in other areas that are important, including their labor laws and the way they have reformed their treatment of foreign laborers as well, and there's been significant progress there. And I want to acknowledge that because I know that has been an issue in the past. But similarly, Qatar's faith in the United States as an investment destination, and you heard Tom Donahue highlight some of those numbers. I also know Qatar's had a good year in their investments in the U.S. stock market with, I think, 85 record highs in the U.S. stock market, and I do know they have a little bit of their sovereign wealth fund holding some U.S. stocks as well. So we are glad that they are a steady investor in our markets as well. I think by companies choosing to partner with Qatar, what I can tell you from not just my past experience, but the experience of many others, you have a reliable partner who lives up to their side of the deal. And I think that's mostly what we want, and I know that you want, is a reliable partner that while the negotiating may be tough, when the deal is done and you shake hands on it, both sides are going to live up to that deal. And I know that you can count on that with Qatar. That's the nature of the relationship the U.S. government wants with Qatar as well. We have such important shared strategic interest. The location of our air base in Qatar, Al Udeid, and Central Command, which is located, is key to our fight against terrorism, both the Defeat ISIS campaign in Iraq and Syria. But now as that campaign is achieving success and we now turn our eyes to the fight in Afghanistan, Al Udeid is critical and plays a critical role in our campaign in Afghanistan. I had the opportunity to utilize Al Udeid already this year when I made visits, gray-tail visits, both into Afghanistan and Iraq. And the folks at Al Udeid were able to pull that off for me on a very covert basis. I learned later I'm the only secretary, not just of state, but defense or any other, that has visited 2 combat zones in 2 countries on the same day. And only Al Udeid could have pulled that off, and our fine men and women in uniform. I was flying back from Poland on Saturday and had to get a fuel stop in Shannon. Some of you have landed in Shannon many times. And I was waiting for the turnaround, and they told me that there were 190 men and women in uniform out in the lobby area. Actually, they were near the bar. But 190 men and women in uniform who were on their way home from Qatar. So I went out to the lobby and shook a lot of hands. We took a lot of photos. But to a person, I asked them, so how'd you enjoy your experience at Al Udeid and in Qatar? And they all loved it. And so we thank Qatar for hosting our men and women in uniform. We appreciate that you do that, and that the ease with which you allow them to rotate in and out is so vital to our mission, our counterterrorism mission there in the Middle East. Lastly, I think the importance of this dialogue tomorrow is to, I think, highlight a number of things. First, it is to reconfirm this very important security partnership that exists between the United States and Qatar. And this really dates back to 2002 when the then Emir and George Bush entered into an agreement to locate Central Command in Qatar. And I pulled up all of those documents to read them not too long ago, and I find that all of the commitments we made to one another in 2002 have endured across these last 15 plus years. And so part of our discussion tomorrow is to reconfirm that those commitments still endure, that the United States is committed to Qatar's sovereignty, and that anyone that would threaten Qatar's sovereignty, Qatar knows it can count on the United States to stand with it in terms of abiding by all UN conventions to protect Qatar's sovereignty. But more importantly than that, it's a very forward-looking dialogue tomorrow about where are we going with this security relationship. And Qatar has offered to do more to strengthen our operations at Al Udeid, very important to us. But we're also going to have a good discussion around continuing to advance a very important memorandum of understanding that was signed between the United States and Qatar last summer to counter terrorism. And it deals with Qatar's commitment to assist the United States and for the United States to assist Qatar in disrupting terror financing networks, to identifying terrorists so that we can prosecute terrorists, and to ensure that we are supporting a stable Middle East throughout the region. As to the dispute that's been underway now for some months, we hope that we can find a solution to that dispute as well. It really serves none of the parties' purpose. It undermines our stability in the region. And so the President has made a commitment to do what he can to bring the parties together, and we are encouraging that as well. But I think what all of you should take away is Qatar is a stable country. It's a great country to do business with. And what Qatar should take away is the United States is committed to this partnership, both from a security standpoint and a commercial standpoint. And we look forward to many, many years of peace and prosperity in your region, but real prosperity between our two nations as we both invest in one another's future. And I thank all of you for being here, and I thank what you do on behalf of the American people, because American business is at the heart of what makes this country great. So thank all of you.
and gentlemen, international trade and investment form a key part of Qatar's future growth and diversification. And the U.S. is one of Qatar's most valuable global partners, in favor to the U.S. by $5 billion. More than 500 companies established in Qatar with a partnership between Qataris and American citizens, while there are 102 U.S. companies operating in Qatar, 100% owned by U.S. citizens. 20 companies working in the field of gas and petroleum, and there are 40 U.S. companies operating in Qatar Financial Center. Qatar has been increasing its investment in the United States over many years, creating thousands of jobs across America. These include partnership with numerous American companies such as ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, and Raytheon. 5,000 private sector Americans currently work in Qatar, and millions other American jobs depend on business with Qatar. Qatar Investment Authority pledged to invest $35 billion for the period between 2015 and 2020, and additional $10 billion for infrastructure sector. The investment program is moving along this target. Qatar Airways alone will provide a $92 billion boost to the U.S. economy through a purchase of around 332 American aircraft, a deal that supports more than 527,000 jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, we are gathering today at a time of global economic uncertainties and challenging circumstances for Qatar. Following the illegal blockade on our country on June 5th of last year, a blockade aiming to undermine Qatar's position as economically independent and a sovereign state. However, today Qatar is emerged stronger and more independent economically than ever before. Today, the illegal blockade has presented the opportunity for Qatar to make its economy more accessible to the world. We have seized this opportunity. Qatar successfully established a direct commercial route with a number of strategic hubs around the world, and trade has diverted to Qatar's major trading partners. The Qatari economy continued its positive performance during its past year, which confirmed that it was not much affected by the blockade imposed on the state of Qatar, due to the wise policies adopted by the state, which stimulate all sectors of economy to achieve increased productivity. In 2017, the total GDP increased to $220 billion compared to $218 billion in 2016. The annual real growth rate of GDP at constant price reached 2% in 2017. And it is worth to mention here, according to the latest report released by the World Bank, Qatar real GDP growth is expected to increase to 2.6% in 2018. Share of a non-oil and gas sector in GDP at a constant price is 52% in 2017. Qatar foreign trade has increased by 16% in 2017, reached $103 billion compared to $89 billion in 2016. Qatar total export increased by 19% to reach $68 billion in 2017. From $57 billion in 2016. Trade surplus increased by 40% in 2017, reached $35 billion, comparing to $25 billion in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, all these positive indicators show that we overcome the blockade, which enhanced Qatar economy competitiveness, position our country as a highly attractive destination for U.S. investors. The business environment in Qatar is being designed and improved to transform economy and encourage foreign direct investment. In addition to the backing provided by the strong sovereign credit rating, foreign investors now enjoy a flat, low rate of taxation, a business-friendly environment, and the world-class infrastructure for improved access to a region market. Our economy is open, and we are welcome U.S. business and investor to join us to develop our country. Thank you very much.
Special word of thanks to ConocoPhillips and Andrew Lundquist that serves as the chair of the U.S. Chamber's U.S. Qatar Business Program. Thank you.